every vice president understands that when they take the oath, that they must be very clear about the responsibility they may have to take over the job of being president. I am no different.
While the world seemed surprised by US Vice President Kamala Harris's entry into the presidential race, being a seasoned bureaucrat and a politician, she was always prepared to take on the role. Beset by concerns about his age and electability, when US President Joe Biden announced his departure from the November presidential race on July 21st, he decided to endorse his second-in-command Harris as the Democratic nominee for president. A decision Harris called a selfless and patriotic act. After blazing many trails and breaking many gender ceilings as San Francisco's first female district attorney, as California's first female attorney general, as the second black woman elected to the United States Senate, whose aggressive questioning of Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh in 2018 helped solidify her credentials as one of the Democratic Party's top rising stars.
We cannot possibly move forward, Mr. Chairman,
I
with this
extend
hearing.
a very warm welcome
We have not
to
been
Judge
given
Kavanaugh,
an opportunity to have a meaningful
his wife,
hearing on
Ashley.
this nominee.
And as the country's first female, first black and first Asian American vice president.
But while I may be the first woman in this office, I will not be the last.
Kamala Harris is set to make history yet again. This time, as the first black woman to head a major party's presidential ticket if she receives the nomination at the Democratic National Convention in Chicago next month, and if she wins, the first female president. Soon after receiving Biden's endorsement, Harris said in a statement, "We have 107 days until Election Day. Together, we will fight, and together, we will win." She also thanked President Biden for his leadership and accepted his endorsement as a candidate. "I am honored," she concluded. "My intention is to earn and win this nomination." Harris steps into her new role at a time of great turmoil and tension within the Democratic Party, as calls for Biden to step down after a disastrous debate performance in June intensified criticism that he was too old and frail to serve 4 more years, leaving the party divided in camps. She undoubtedly will face fierce attacks from Republicans, who have united behind their nominee, Donald Trump, the twice impeached, criminally convicted former president who narrowly survived an assassination attempt 2 days before the start of last week's Republican National Convention. "I will do everything in my power to unite the Democratic Party and unite our nation to defeat Donald Trump and his Extreme Project 2025 agenda," Harris wrote on the social media platform X. By Project 2025, she was referencing the 900-plus page manifesto written by conservative thought leaders and Trump acolytes. At their national convention in July, Republicans trained some of their most intense criticism on Harris. They have tied her to an administration that they say has led to increases in crime and inflation. They have cast her as an enabler of an aging and ineffective president. They have blamed her for record levels of migrant crossings at the border and called her the border czar. Addressing the audience at the convention, Florida Congressman Matt Gaetz on July 17th said, "Kamala Harris isn't able to do any job. She was appointed border czar. Appointing Kamala Harris to oversee the border is like appointing Bernie Madoff to oversee your retirement plan." Trump supporters too were quick to go on attack, posting a video accusing her of creating what is described as border crisis and runaway inflation by citing newspaper headlines. Apart from attacks from Republicans, Harris has been struggling to get senior Democrats on her side. While former President Bill Clinton has endorsed her as party candidate, along with some of her former colleagues from the Senate, former President Barack Obama made no mention of Kamala Harris while reacting to President Biden's decision to step down. Instead, he said, "We will be navigating uncharted waters in the days ahead, but I have extraordinary confidence that the leaders of our party will be able to create a process from which an outstanding nominee emerges." There has also been no immediate endorsement from Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, the House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, or the former Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi. "59-year-old Harris was born in Oakland, California, the daughter of an Indian-born mother and Jamaican-born father. She attended Howard University in Washington, D.C. before getting her law degree from the University of California College of the Law in San Francisco. She began working in the Alameda County District Attorney's Office before shifting to the San Francisco District Attorney's Office. She became the San Francisco District Attorney in 2003. She was then elected California's Attorney General, the state's top law enforcement role, in 2010, and was re-elected 4 years later. She was elected to the U.S. Senate in 2016, and then as Biden solidified his lead in 2020, he vowed he would select a woman as his running mate.
During Women's History Month,
The selection of Harris as the vice president candidate was seen as an effort to appeal to black voters and to energize the party's base. Harris initially mounted a run for the White House in the 2020 election, but quickly faded in the primary season after lackluster debate performances. Harris has largely cheer-led signature policies of the Biden administration, including infrastructure legislation, the thorny issue of immigration, gun control, and efforts to protect abortion rights.
Republicans in Congress are now calling for a nationwide abortion ban. Some even from the moment of conception. The right of every woman in every state in this country to make decisions about her own body is on the line. And I've said it before and I will say it again. How dare they? How dare they?
In particular, Harris has been tasked with spearheading efforts to stem migration from Central America. During a trip to Guatemala, she was criticized for what some liberals saw as a harsh message when she said this to migrants.
Do not come. Do not come.
As a senator, she became a leading critic of Trump, particularly when it came to his immigration policies. Harris has described herself as a progressive prosecutor, but her history has roiled the progressive wing of the party. While Harris did oversee some reforms in her career, critics have accused her of at best taking a mixed bag approach in her policies, including a controversial truancy enforcement push as San Francisco's district attorney that saw parents face penalties for their children missing school. Her office also worked to prevent the release of more prisoners, despite massive overcrowding in California prisons. And as the state's Attorney General, Harris argued a case defending the use of the death penalty in California, despite being personally against it. On Israel-Palestine, Harris has hewed close to the Biden administration's ironclad support for Israel, and she has regularly defended Israel's right to self-defense, including during the war on Gaza.
The United States has an unbreakable bond with Israel, and our commitment to Israel's security is ironclad.
Still, Harris has been one of the more vocal members of the administration, highlighting the humanitarian catastrophe unfolding in the enclave. In March, she became the highest-ranking member of the administration to use the word ceasefire in calling for a humanitarian pause in the fighting.
Given the immense scale of suffering in Gaza, there must be an immediate ceasefire.
Harris's law enforcement credentials and centrist approach have been seen as assets that could draw undecided voters away from Trump. Recent polls taken after Biden's weak debate performance against Trump have not suggested that Harris is likelier than Biden to beat Trump in November. An Economist and YouGov poll released last week found 39% voters approved of Harris's performance. The same poll found 45% viewed Trump favorably. Harris supporters have argued those polls may change now that Biden is out of the race. Meanwhile, the non-profit fundraising platform ActBlue said that as of 6 p.m. Pacific time on July 21st, $46.7 million had flowed in from grassroots supporters in the hours since Harris launched her campaign. While Biden's endorsement could make Harris's path to a Democratic Party nomination a lot easier, there are still many hurdles in the way for the woman who has had her share of firsts in life, and her next first could now be the presidency.